May the Lord give this council the wisdom, discernment and courage to serve the community. Grant also that we may act compassionately and with integrity and in the best interest of this Shire, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. I would like to show respect and acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land. May the Lord give this council the wisdom, discernment and courage to serve the community. Grant also that we may act Sorry about that. I would like to show respect and acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land and elders past, present and future on which this meeting takes place. This meeting is being recorded and those in attendance should refrain from making any defamatory statements. There are to be no other recordings of this meeting without prior authorisation of council. Thank you, councillors, and thank you for attending at short notice for this extraordinary meeting. Okay, councillors, over to F06.1. Oh, sorry. Sorry, yep. Sorry, councillor, I've jumped to the gun. Apologies.
Mr Mayor, apologies from Councillor Brown and Councillor Driscoll.
Moved, Councillor Campbell. Second, Councillor Fisher. All in favour? Against? Carried. Disclosure of interest?
No disclosure of interest, Mr Mayor.
No reports. Okay, move over to F06.1, recommendation in front.
I'll move
Councillor
that with
Burns.
an amendment, Mr Mayor.
Move Councillor Burns with amendment.
Yeah, sorry. So we leave sections 1 and 2 in and then add a third and a fourth. The third would be direct the General Manager to audit all projects with the value of over $1 million to ensure that appropriate and available insurances are in place so as to protect the Upper Hunter Shire Council from further exposure, and report the findings to said audit to the August meeting of the Upper Hunter Shire Council Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. And the fourth one, Mr Mayor, direct the General Manager to create a project management guideline for all projects undertaken by the Upper Hunter Shire Council. This guideline is to be reviewed by the Upper Hunter Shire Council Audit Risk and Improvement Committee before being submitted to the Infrastructure Services Committee for notation.
Thank you, Councillor Burns. We've got a seconder for that motion. Councillor Campbell. You'd like to speak, Councillor Campbell, at all? Are you happy?
Thank you. Look, I'm happy with the 1 and 2. However, I think perhaps what Councillor Burns has said is quite in keeping with some of our concerns that would perhaps mitigate some of our concerns later on. So I'm happy to support that.
Councillor Burns, you'd like to talk to the motion, or you're quite happy?
I just think we've made a mistake. We know this. It started in this room. We made the mistake. So this is about us fixing it. So we move on. Yes, it's going to be expensive. Yes, it's going to take time. But this is a way that we can actually fix the mistake in the future, and hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Thank you, Councillor Burns. Any more questions, comment, discussion? Councillor Watts.
Against. While my statement will include questions, Mr Mayor, they can come at a later date. I acknowledge that sections of the Merrywater Willow Tree Road need to be reconstructed to meet B double standards, but a loan that will impact this community for 20 years is surely not the only way forward. This was a joint project which was to facilitate local economic development. What has been the response of the Liverpool Plains Shire Council regarding our mismanagement? And now that we have made our side of the road unusable for the intended purpose, that has a significant impact on their ratepayers also if they can't use the road. How does council plan to remedy that situation for our neighbours? While I have seen the geotech report and the independent review, I still have huge concerns of how long it took before anyone noticed that this project was a disaster. There are so many questions. What's the total cost to ratepayers for this mismanagement, including the $5 million loan that is being applied for, the interest on that loan, plus any shortfall in the grant funding and the cost to road users not being able to use the road at all? Has there been an economic assessment of the full costs that this mismanagement of this project will have on ratepayers, and what will the final figure be? Who did council consult with about Transport New South Wales coming on board? Councillors are liable, yet we are not briefed before media releases or the process goes out. Is it now predicted that a rate rise will be necessary to cover the costs of this mismanagement? There are way too many questions and not enough answers for me to support this recommendation. Without procedures of what council will put in place to undertake the reconstruction on sections of the Merrywater Willow Tree Road is tabled to ensure that this will never happen again. I do not have confidence that as a councillor, I have been informed of council plans for this project, and I cannot and will not support a $5 million loan that will impact our community for 20 years. As councillors, we are legally and financially responsible, and I do not feel I have been sufficiently briefed. I'm not comfortable with how council executed this project or how the ratepayers' money is being spent. This is mismanagement at the bottom line, and it is those responsible that we need to hold accountable for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Watts. I certainly agree with a lot of your comments, but moving forward, I believe there's no alternative. We have to open that road from Merrywater Willow Tree, and it's embarrassing, I'm sure, but us as a council are all to take that on the chin. But I respect your comments, and we'll move on. Okay, any more questions, comment, discussion? Councillor Abbott.
Thank you. Yes, I fully support.
Excuse me, Councillor Abbott, would you mind addressing the chair, please?
Are you the chair, Mr. Mayor? Yes, well, I am addressing you, and I started off addressing you. So, Mr. Mayor, I fully support everything Councillor Watts just said, everything. And I would like to know why the GM did not brief me in relation to the road not being built to specifications before sending out the media release on Tuesday. I'd also like to know, did we take out insurance and not get it because we hadn't built the road to specifications? And did we not get the natural disaster grant because we had not built the road to specifications? What will the total cost of the road be to the ratepayer as a result of this debacle? Will we be able to find that out? And what could the ongoing cost be? It's enormous. These are things that before we embark upon, the ratepayer across the Shire wants to know. Also, has the government acquitted the road and has council received the full grant funding allocated? I too, like Councillor Watts, I have no confidence that as a councillor, I have been informed of council's activities. Even so far as I feel that being blocked and being informed last meeting in the May ordinary council meeting, when I was told that I could no longer ask questions during the ordinary council meeting, and that was to be the new format. But we have to ask questions about this thing.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Burns.
I understand what the council is saying, and the code of meeting practice is very clear. We can ask questions, but they have to be relevant and they have to be on the agenda. And this is clearly not one of those.
Thank you, Councillor Burns. I agree, Councillor Abbott, you can continue, but please stick to the agenda item.
The agenda item is the Willow Tree Merriwall Road. I have many questions about this road. I'm only containing myself to about half a dozen tonight. Councillor Watts has put forward many of the things that I would have thought to put forward, but she's covered that already. Everything I've said to date is to do with this matter right now. But I will finish that I understand that the community does not feel, and I have heard this, they do not feel that we as a council are fit for purpose, and that there is talk that an administrator should be sent in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Abbott. Do you wish to, Mr. Jim, do you wish to answer any of those questions, or are we quite happy? And may I just add, councillors. We had a briefing here one day during the week, which took up probably an hour and a half of my time and all the rest of the councillors that were here. And a lot of this was discussed in length about this whole project and how we're going to move forward. So I'm sorry, councillors, those who come to the meeting, thank you. Those who didn't have had the opportunity to come in during the week, as I know one did, and go right through this whole process. So I'm not going to get into any more debate, councillors. I'm going to, no more question, comment, discussion on this matter. Right. All in favour, show of hands, please, of the motion. That's 4. Against? Councillor Watson, Councillor Abbott. If that's the case, the new recommendation with 1, 2, 3 and 4 is passed. Thank you, councillors. Meeting closed.